Morning, everyone. This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of New Canaan on Tuesday, May 17th, 8:32 a.m. And before we start, I want to make a motion to amend the minutes to add an item, line striping, removal, and installation.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry, I didn't understand. What did you say?
Line striping.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Reinstallation. Okay, that's unanimous. Turning to our agenda. First item is the minutes of the last meeting on May 3rd. Any comments or corrections?
Sorry about this. I actually just saw one correction under public comments. It should say Mr. Moynihan noted that members. It says Mr. Williams.
For that correction, will we approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public comment. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to VOS distribution at newcanaan.ct.gov. And if we receive, this is a hybrid meeting, by the way, so if we receive any, we'll read them in the course of the meeting or before the end of the meeting. Anyone from the public want to comment? I don't see anybody from the public here this morning. That brings us to introduction of our interns. I think we only have one. We gave the others until tomorrow because of the picnic, I guess. Tiger, you want to come down? Sure, bring them down, and here's Barrett. And also talk about National Public Works Week in the town of New Canaan.
Sure.
How many interns do we have? 7? This is the high school program for 6 weeks or so, starting today.
So this is Barrett Schmitz. He's going to be a chemical engineer at Carnegie Mellon. He's going to be playing football there as well. So we're kind of excited to have him. So he was nice enough to come today, even though he's got picnic later. So I asked him to come basically because of all the agenda items we've got that we'll be working on while he's here. So that was a good start for him. And then we'll go from there.
Okay, welcome aboard, Barrett. Okay, look forward to it.
You'll be busy.
Let's see what we can do.
Tiger, did we have a storm last night? I didn't notice a storm.
It was okay. Not bad. It got pretty good up where I live, but it was not that bad here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got lucky. It kind of hit Litchfield County. You know, if you look at the red on the map, kind of went through Litchfield and then upper Waterbury, Bristol, that area. Okay,
National Public Works Week.
National Public Works Week. So this is something we've been doing since 2009. Every year, there's a declaration of a week during the year dedicated to National Public Works and the men and women that serve. So this year's theme is ready and resilient for 2022. Their feeling is that within every public works professional lies a superhero. Public works professionals are always ready to serve their communities and resilient as ever in their abilities to pick themselves up off the ground after encountering challenges. It highlights the ability of these professionals to perform regular public works duties and be ready at a moment's notice to react as first responders during natural disasters and overcome trials seen in the field. So I'd like to have this year's dedication. It's May 15 to May 21, so we're right in the middle of it. So we're asking for this week to be proclaimed National Public Works Week in the town of New Canaan.
Okay, thank you. We all appreciate what our public works employees do, keeping the town beautiful and also safe. And I would also note, this is also National Police Week. I don't know who coordinates these things, but National Police Week, I also want to recognize our men in blue who serve and protect us. And there'll be a ceremony at the police department tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. for those who can make it. So thank you, Tiger. Thank you.
Can I just say a word quickly? Sure. Just our APWA, what does that stand for?
American Public Works Association.
Okay. And I think I would just add a third R, ready, resilient, and responsive, because you're all three and we really appreciate it. So thank you
very much.
Okay, Tiger, now you have a few items. Are you up
You
next?
vote on that?
I would vote, but we're going to vote on creating the National Public Works, declaring Okay, I move we approve the request from Tiger Man, Head of Public Works, to declare this week National Public Work Weeks in the town of New Canaan. Second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
We love you guys. Terrific.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's
Aye.
unanimous. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Barrett.
Thank you.
Enjoy your stay. Okay. That brings us to something. The chairman and the Chuck, are you the secretary of the audit committee? You're here? You want to come up? So as a special committee, we annually approve our outside auditors. Why don't you give us a very brief report about the audit and about PKF O'Connor?
We have to approve the auditors for the ensuing year, and since I'm not going to be there tomorrow night, Chuck is going to give the report, which I fully endorse.
Okay.
Yeah, so we at the audit committee at our last meeting, we've had some discussions with Joe and so on with respect to PKF O'Connor Davies. But the audit committee unanimously recommends that they be reappointed for this year's audit. They've been the auditor of the town since 2012, I think. And I don't know if everybody knows, but they're a firm of about 1,500 people.
Oh, wow.
150 partners, 18 different offices, basically throughout the Northeast largely, but also down the coast. So, they have quite extensive experience. They do about 25 towns in Connecticut. So it's a reasonable percentage, as far as their experience and just keeping in touch with what's going on and everything. So in any case, we they also have an auditor rotation policy periodically to rotate partners, which is one of the ways in which independence is maintained within the accounting profession. We did consider, and we know that it's somewhat normal, I think, in organizations, particularly governments, to consider RFPs for the work. And so we always consider that every year. And, we evaluate that against the inefficiencies of doing that, fees, and particularly this past few years and this year, the impacts of COVID and the fact that the town has new finance leaders for both the town and the schools. So, we just didn't think it was time to think about doing that if everything else was fine. So that's about it. So the audit committee unanimously recommends that the town approve the appointment of PKF.
And actually what I was referring to, there's actually a special committee consisting of you, myself, the chairman of the town council,
Right.
and maybe I'm the CFO who
I think it's just three of us.
we recommend this. Did the town council already approve this or
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night? So we are approving a contract for PKF O'Connor and Davis for the ensuing fiscal year.
It's been a while since we've seen you guys, which on a personal level is a disappointment. On a professional level, it's probably not a bad thing. So you mentioned, Chuck, the RP, so we hired in my first year as selectman in 2012, I think we brought on O'Connor Davies, and we've been pretty satisfied with the job they've done.
We've had during that period of time 2 or 3 partners as well.
Right.
They've all served us well. And I would say in non-public arena, we don't think changing one is a good idea. But in the public arena, that happens more frequently. And we did consider that, but we think staying with the firm is exactly the right idea, particularly with the new CFO, and particularly with the new CFO coming into the school district as well. There's a lot of history with the firm through their files and their documentation, which which both maintains the independence, it'll be helpful as well.
Great, great. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Actually, I was the interim CFO when PKR.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
they're a great firm.
I remember
And I
that.
do think continuity is important, particularly Anne, as you came in. I'm trying to remember, were they the auditor for Wilton as
No.
well? No, okay. So have you dealt with them at all?
I have not, and
Okay.
just, my dealings now.
Sure, of course. Okay, so that's great. Was there any change in this document versus prior years? This audit.
There was a change, and it's probably mainly due to ARPA because it's federal funds. They've now put, if applicable, they haven't said yet whether it's actually going to happen or not.
Okay.
There's a uniform guidance that the federal government gives out for their grants, whether a pass through or direct. And it's everything from their purchasing to how we use it to, the funds. Typically that's not in the audit, they
Right.
make sure in how the accounting is done on it, but the uniform guidance now may have them do a deeper dive on what did we actually use and things like that. So they put language in there to say if it's applicable.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
the main change, and it's due to ARPA funds.
And did that then change the annual fee? I think I see it's 97,600. What was it? previously?
Slightly, it was 80, I think 87 last year, 89. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but
I have it. Let me,
go on.
yeah, if we've had discussions over the past few years, particularly with COVID with PKF, and essentially they've kept their fee flat.
Yeah.
For 19, 20, and essentially 21.
Okay.
So this year it's 6% higher. So it's about $5,500 higher than last year, I think.
Okay.
And it's about 6%. And so that, over the period of time, they've been very, I think, understanding of the circumstances.
Okay. And then just one last question on their reporting, the written report upon completion of the audit the report would be addressed to the town council. I presume it should we add that it also goes to the audit committee, or is that?
We approve it before we approve it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we approve it, but when they write at the top two, I think they say
Okay.
to the town
Okay.
council.
I remember Kathleen, because I think you actually authored many of the rules. It requires you on committee.
Great. Thank you.
Which
Yeah.
is, continues to be a best practice of a lot of organizations, including
Absolutely.
government peers and so on. So good work in that area.
Okay. Very good. That's all my questions.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck and Bill. I move we approve the request to enter into a contract with PKF O'Connor Davies for an annual amount of $97,600 for internal audit, not internal, for audit services.
Second year.
Additional fees for services beyond the annual audit scope will be negotiated separately if necessary. Second, and further discussion. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Affordable Housing Plan, which is being prepared by a committee, which is chaired by Nate Brooks, our town planner. Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I would just preface, I sent you last night, since this is a wraparound as an addendum to the Westcog Regional Affordable Housing Plan. Westcog just updated their draft yesterday. And also as a result of comments they received. And we've received comments that have not yet been finalized with the committee. So we're not taking action today, but we're going to take action on June 7th.
That is the plan. The committee met on Thursday night, the 12th, and they reviewed the comments we received from the public. We received very few comments from the public, but we did receive some. And we received comments from Westcog. And now we have your comments. Kathleen, thank you very much. So they made edits to the plan, and with the timeline of providing the information to you, they have not been implemented, nor have we had an opportunity to go back to the committee, but they've accepted them. I've spoken to the Office of Policy Management at the state, Dan Morley, and we can submit a letter requesting a delay. The June 1st deadline for submitting the plan was changed with the legislation in the last legislative session last year, and it was moved ahead a month. But in other parts of the state's material, it's still recorded as June 30th. So there are a lot of municipalities that are in the same boat we are because of the way meetings were arranged and timelines to get everything. It's tight. Westcog only released their revised plan last night around 4:30. I can forward the link to you guys if you haven't seen it already, so you can review it, because our plan is an annex of that larger plan. They've prepared a regional plan, and then several of the communities within the region have annexes that supplement that larger regional plan.
So bottom line is, I sent you the updated Westcog thing last night. We'll take 3 more weeks until June 7th to review that material. Our role is just to approve it, just pass it on to the state. I'm on the committee, so I'm familiar with it. You might want to get more familiar with it the next 3 weeks.
I read the original draft. Was it a substantial change, or I didn't get a chance?
You didn't read
for
the
the
draft
Westcog
that was uploaded to your tablet with all the comments are from the public and
I
everything.
mean, the broader Westcog one.
Oh, the original, I don't know. I didn't read it last night. It was
Okay.
only released to the public,
Right.
and I didn't
Okay.
see it until 4:30 last night.
And
I
should we
didn't.
get comments on that through you or the committee, or?
Well, I think their comment period is ended now.
Their comment period ended, and Westcog isn't required to submit their affordable housing plan to the state. Only municipalities are. They're not an actual municipality.
Right.
So, and so their plan, but their delay in their plan was, caused problems in the timeline for all the other member municipalities that were relying on that larger regional plan as part of the annexes. Their revisions during their comment period, they held several public meetings. They received very positive critiques of the plan at the public meetings. And then they received some very negative comments, which were posted on the Westcog website from online comments. And they revised their plan based on the comments that they received, both in the public meetings and the public comments online.
So this annex, though, which goes to their plan, this is
Yes.
our town affordable housing plan
Along with the Westcog base document.
combined, right?
Combined.
Okay, so this becomes the working document, if you will, or the document that is our affordable housing plan.
Yes.
Okay.
The committee and P&Z has also looked at it. They made similar recommendations that this should be a dynamic document that, hopefully will change as the needs of New Canaan change over time.
Further questions? So we'll take this up in 3 weeks on June 7th.
So when we take it up here, you'll take a look at the comments, respond if you're accepting them or not, and just during the course of
The
time.
committee will meet again to approve, and then P&Z may take it up at their meeting at the end of.
P&Z could take it up again if you,
Okay.
yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, moving on to Emergency Management Director. Yes, Cheryl,
Good morning.
good morning. So let me just give a little preface here. Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
No, I said I want to give a little preface here.
Okay, go ahead.
Many surrounding towns are beginning to hire full-time emergency management directors. And, the preparedness for events not only requires being there when the event occurs, but also there's a lot of preparation and a lot of planning and a lot of drilling that's required. So the past few months, I've been thinking that we really ought to look at what our surrounding towns are doing and take the opportunity to create a full-time position. We've had 2 volunteers who receive stipends, Russ Kimes and Phil Shibley, who have been doing a terrific job, quite honestly. To do the job requires a lot of time and effort as a volunteer beyond a full-time job that they, although Phil's, I guess, more semi-retired. Cheryl.
So we have put a job description together that is on your tablets. I think as you can see from this job description, it is definitely a full-time position. We have added to it that this position will coordinate with FEMA and process reimbursement after emergencies, which is something the town has had Public Works working on. And so we will have a full-time person focusing on that. We have also added that it will aid in the recruitment of volunteers for both fire CERT and EMS. So those are two additional parts to this position that the town can benefit from. And I think, as Kevin has said, over the past 2 years, I think we found between COVID and storms that this is a position that we are in need of. We have seen other towns starting to create these positions, and I think the town would benefit from this.
I would also mention that, this position is not fully funded at this point. Our fire chief had budgeted for a assistant fire chief position, which he's willing to forego to contribute that. I've talked to Todd Lavieri and Steve Carl about this, and we will find the money otherwise in the budget to fund this for next year. But otherwise, any questions for Cheryl?
So what I think we've learned is that an emergency is not a storm and then the aftermath. An emergency, COVID has been an ongoing 2-3 year emergency, right? And I think this makes sense. As Kevin mentioned, this is what other towns are doing. I was in Bill Osman's office on Friday, Billy, and I literally walked in and he had a ring binder this large. And I said, what's that? And he said, FEMA reimbursements. And I think I asked you, how much time do you spend on FEMA reimbursements? And you said, I think you said $100,000 worth of my time was your response.
5% reimbursement for administrative time, my time, and staff help to assemble everything over time. So between the Azias and FEMA to date, probably like 1.5, and it's not over yet. So
yeah, so I see this person, full-time employee, doing a lot of administrative work, frankly. And I think, as Cheryl mentioned, also having a point person for recruiting across the board with fire. And if you look at Russ Kimes, not only is a former Marine veteran, but he's a longtime member of the firehouse. That's the type of person we need, I think, in this position.
I would note this will first be advertised to the internal candidates, and there's only 2 candidates internally who are qualified. The chief of the fire chief and Russ Kimes, but any further questions?
Just 2 quick ones. So this role would supervise all members of the EOT. How many people are on that team?
EOC?
It says emergency operations team.
There's about 16 or so department heads.
Okay. So and once this position is formalized, which I totally support, then the other 2 positions over time would potentially go away in terms of the 2 positions, the part-time positions with stipends.
Well,
or they'd be in addition to.
We haven't decided that yet. I think over time, Albie is prepared to be the assistant because he's done that in the past, but as for now, we will keep at least 1 volunteer assistant.
Okay. Thank you.
So I move we approve the request from Human Resources to make the position of emergency management director a full-time position and to advertise for a full-time emergency management director. Second.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
None here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Playhouse Theater Exterior Renovation Project. Tiger and Bill.
we do.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You can start.
Morning. We're all familiar with the Playhouse Theater and the work it needs over there. It's no secret. We're looking to start the first phase of this by sealing up the exterior of the building, make it watertight, and preparations for future work for the inside. So we're requesting that we contract our architectural preservation studio for the $53,000 to do all the design work that we need, get all the documents together, and to help us manage the exterior phasing of this project.
So I would note we've been meeting with the Board of Finance and the Town Council for the past 2 or 3 months on the proposed Playhouse Theater renovation project in conjunction with a new operator. We have town council meeting tomorrow night to hopefully approve this as a project. Because we don't have a project yet, but assuming town council approves tomorrow night, this is the outside project of the exterior building. We already have a brand new roof. We have to do the brick and the sidewalks surrounding the building so that water no longer gets into the basement and et cetera. So
include the storefront windows, reworking those.
that's right. So
And
the building will be 100 years old next year. There's never been any extensive renovation done to it. And this,
Nah.
it's overdue if it's going to last another 100 years. So any questions for Bill Tiger?
No, thank you.
I just mentioned, in support of the Playhouse there, I think this is, talk about iconic. I mean, this is, as you said, 100 years old. And I'm really excited about the prospect of having a, updated theater with reclining seats and food and drinks and stuff. I think it's terrific for the town.
Just asked about the timing. So if this goes forward, subject to obviously approval of the project, right? We're not going to continue unless the town council approves the
Correct.
project tomorrow.
I
Okay.
should have mentioned too, the theater fund, which has about $800,000 in it.
Approximately 800, yeah.
So we've never spent all the rent we collected to maintain that as a capital reserve fund. The Board of Finance last week authorized the transfer of that money for this project, for the outside project. So we have the funding for this authorized by the Board of Finance. We need a project to the town, only the town council under the Bach Amendment can approve. And then if we have a project, we can go forward with this and I'll sign the contract Thursday. Move this forward.
Yeah.
We have further steps going back to the Board of Finance and town council for the interior project, which is in conjunction with the letter of intent, which we will discuss in executive session later on this morning.
If for whatever reason the project is not approved, which I hope that's not the case, or delayed, is there any reason that would hold this back since you already have the money available to do that?
Well, if they approve the project, we can do the outside.
Of
Yeah.
course, you can do it, but
If they don't approve the project, then we'll have to regroup and decide, discuss what the next step would be.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Further questions?
On you.
I move to approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Architectural Preservation Studio, DPC, for a total of $60,950, which includes contingency. As discussed.
Second here.
All in favor? Yes, discussion, all in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Okay, moving along. Tiger, you have several items now. Good morning, Maria.
This one, I'm going to bring up my very capable town engineer, Maria.
Just back from vacation.
Just back from vacation. This one's dear to her heart, so we're going to let her present this one.
Good morning. Yes, the town of New Canaan has owned and maintained Mead Memorial Park for more than 100 years, but doesn't have a boundary survey of the park or a comprehensive survey of its interior. The 24-acre park with access at Richmond Hill to the north, Park Street to the east, has recent improvements, including the new playground, field fencing, and most recent conversion of a tennis court into pickleball courts. In order to have a base map survey prepared for this parcel that can document improvements made over the years and be a resource for ongoing future maintenance and potential projects, the town of New Canaan solicited proposals for survey services at Mead Memorial Park. Proposed survey work will include the mapping of property line meet and bounds, facilities and utilities across the park, and 2-foot topographical contours. The survey will be provided in both paper and in digital format and will be a resource for the town. In order to keep the survey accurate and up to date, any future projects will prepare surveyed as-built to document amendments. Bids were obtained from 3 surveyors who have worked for the town before, with the lowest bid received from Cabezas de Angelis LLC, who proposes to perform the work for a fee of $22,500 with a 15% contingency of $3,375 for a total of $25,875. Cabezas de Angelis has previously performed survey work adjacent to the park along Richmond Hill Road, so they have survey control in the area, which made them very competitive in this process. We recommend that the contract be awarded to Cabezas de Angelis for $22,500 plus a 15% contingency of $3,375 for a total of $25,875. And the funds are currently available. Thank you.
Questions from Maria, Tiger?
That's great.
None here.
Since we subject ourselves to our planning and zoning rules, we have to, from time to time, provide accurate descriptions of what we're doing. So this is designed to be accurate.
Great.
So I move we approve the request from Public Works to continue a contract with Cabezas DeAngelis LLC for a total of $25,875, which includes a contingency as described by Maria. Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in
None
favor?
here.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all very much.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Now we have some highway work to get underway.
So the next 3 or 4 items, if you add the line striping to this, because it's all part and parcel, is for our annual repaving of some of our roads. We have micro thin overlay, cape seal, crack sealing of roads, and then the requisite line striping removal and then reinstallation. So since 2014, we've been contracting with Indus, which was formerly Seal Coating Incorporated. We had a bid in 2014. They were the low bid at that time. They held their bid through 2017. We bid again in 17. They were the low bidder and they held it through 2021. Now with COVID and supply chain issues and prices elevating, we felt it was time to go back out to bid, but the town of Fairfield had done that for us. And Indus was the low bid on their 2022 micro thin overlay project, and they bid a price of $320.50 a ton. Given the fact that last year we were paying $251.50 a ton, I went to Indus and said, that's a huge jump, $70 a ton for us to make that leap. And I asked them to sharpen their pencil a little bit, and they came back with a $304 per ton price. I compare that to what happened in Naugatuck last year. Naugatuck, they won the bid in Naugatuck. Naugatuck had an escalator in there for pricing changes. If you take in the price of inflation at 6% or 6.35%, and the fact that Naugatuck is an hour south, we're an hour south from Massachusetts from where their staffing is, the Naugatuck bid falls right into play exactly where we are at this $304 per ton price. So we get to keep the contractor that we've been very comfortable with at a very competitive price. So we'd like to continue this agreement with Indus for the micro thin overlay, and then we'll talk about Cape Seal after. It's 4 roads in town. 3 roads in town, just over 1.5 miles for $139,533 with a 15% contingency of $20,930 for a total of $160,463. Do you want me to go through each one, Kevin? And then we'll go where you want to do.
Well, so actually, this is not for the. This is not for the actual asphalt.
This is for the actual. This is for the micro thin overlay. This is for all the work, right? We're just paying a unit price of $304 per ton, whereas before we were paying a unit price of $251.50.
Why don't you just read each of them? We'll vote on
Sure.
them all 4 together.
So the next one is a combined project similar to last year for our Cape Seal. The Cape Seal is a chip seal covered with a micro thin overlay. So we had 2 contractors working on that. We had Indus working on the micro thin overlay portion and Seymour Seal Coating working on the chip seal portion. In years past, Seymour was a subcontractor to Indus. This year, given the environment, we decided that we would be best in the town's best interest to contract separately with both of them. Indus is holding their price that we just discussed from before for the micro thin overlay portion, and Seymour Seal Coating came to us with a revised bid price of $2.68 a square yard. It's interesting to note that last year, while they were a subcontractor, since they have a markup on it, the contractor puts a markup on it, we were paying $3.44 a square yard. So it's actually to our benefit to separate the contracts out. So this project in all for 20 separate roads is 2 contracts for Indus, $603,008, for Seymour Sealing, $233,652 with a 15% contingency of $125,499 for a total of $962,159. And then the last item is for crack sealing. Indus has held their price from 2017 at $1.71 a pound. That's been their price. They've held that price since 17, 18, 19, all the way through till now. There's no price adjustment. And this is for 19 separate roads in town. It's a price of $74,443. The contingency is $11,166 for a total of $85,609. So that gives you everything that we're doing in total in town. Give you an idea of mileage. We're looking at a little over about 1.5 miles of microthin overlay, 5.6 miles of Cape Seal, and 17 miles of crack seal. So we'll be touching 43 roads total, 65 segments on those roads for about just under 17 miles.
Can we put,
20 miles.
can we put those on the website?
I'm going to, yeah. I'll put every single road this year. I can list them off for you, but we'll put every road that's being touched this year on the website so people are aware of it. It'll also help us get the word out. We typically do this in July, right after the 4th, as people leave, because there's during this process, the road has to sit fallow for about 20 minutes while the material sets. And once the material sets, then you can drive on it. But if you drive on it beforehand, you'll track it everywhere onto your car, you know, into your house. So we want to make sure that people understand that for 20 minutes or so, you won't be able to leave your driveway.
But we're starting early because
we start always typically in July,
Okay.
right after everybody kind of vacates. Right after July 4th is when we ask every year for them to come in, and it takes about 2 weeks to do the entire process. And then by the time everyone comes back, they're sitting on a brand new road.
what's the status of complete rehab of roads, you know, not just sealing them?
The ones that you just approved, the paving ones that you just approved, we're finishing the sidewalks on Mead Street. Once the sidewalks on Mead Street are complete, the contractor's going to come in and take care of every road that was on our list from this year, and then Mortimer, Brinkerhoff, and Lockwood from last year. That was a carryover because of Aquarian.
Right.
Aquarian came in there late.
And that will start when, Tiger?
That'll start within the next week.
Okay.
Those are total mill and pave.
Those are total mill and pave. Yeah. That, and then we are putting together the bid for the Eversource Roads, which we're going to include Upper Main Street and Park Street in that list. Park Street was technically supposed to wait till next year, but given the fact that the rules have changed from Pura and every contract has to be in place within the next 90 days, we don't feel that the contracts on Park Street, anyone will jump at this point in time. So we might as well get rid of Park Street's probably our worst road,
Right.
you know, in the downtown area. So I'd like to pave that. So we're going to add that to our list and
Good.
have that done as well.
Good.
So this takes care of the, you know, we touch a road every 5 years. So the crack seal, we touch every 5 years, we crack seal a road, and then we micro thin overlay or cape seal every 10. So you're looking at, you know, you pave this year, 5 years from now, you get a crack seal, 10 years, you get a micro thin overlay or cape seal. 5 years after that, it gets cracked. 5 years after that, it'll either get mill and paved or it'll get another overlay on it. And at present, our PCI is 86, which is an excellent number. Can't do much better than that. And I think it'll jump a little bit by the end of the year, and then we'll see how we do over the winter. But once we bring all the Eversource roads online and the ones that we're doing this year, we'll see that kind of come up a little bit, and then we'll see what we do for next year.
And the line striping item?
The line striping, thank you. The so part and parcel to this is the actual removal of the existing lines and then restriping. So we have, I asked for a quote from Safety Markings. I had asked for it to come in last week. It came in yesterday late. So I apologize for having to add it, but the lines themselves have to be removed and then reinstalled in order for the micro thin overlay and the cape seal to bind to the pavement. The epoxy paint won't allow it to bind. So we actually have to remove the paint and then bring it back. So Safety Markings came in with a total of $29,174.61. The majority of that is line striping installation after, right? So it's center line striping and stop bars. There's only $650 worth of removal this year. And then I added a contingency of $4,400 for a total of $33,574.61.
Questions for Tiger?
So of the 43 roads, then the line striping, how many does that cover? Not every road obviously has a
Well,
line.
there are stop bars on every road, but the actual center line striping is in essence all on the crack sealed roads. So Frogtown, Jelliff Mill, Parade Hill, Ponus Ridge. Those are the and West Road. So those are the ones that we don't have center line striping on many of our roads. Seems to be one of the biggest pet peeves is center line striping, but the collector roads are center line.
And of the 43 roads total and the 65 segments, is that pretty similar to what we had last year? And what is that percentage of our total roads?
So we have approximately 400 segments. So, and then we've got 187 roads. So yeah, it's pretty close to what we're doing every single year. It varies based upon what we had done 5 years hence, 10 years prior, right? So that's kind of the thought is what we had done, what we're doing right now for these roads is what we had done 10 years ago. So whatever our process was or whatever our list was 10 years ago, that's what we're doing this year, just to stay current and stay in that good range of roads. To give you an idea, it's as far as like how much it costs us just about $1 a square yard to do the crack sealing. It's costing us around $8 a square yard for the micro thin and about $11 a square yard for Cape Seal. But if I was to mill and pave those right now, our mill and paving prices is about $22 a square yard. And if I was to reclaim it, we're in the $65 a square yard range. So we want to stay away from the reclaim, try not to do as much mill and pave and do much more of this because we can do more of it and it's much more cost effective. You're welcome.
How many roads need to be reclaimed, you think?
We don't have any to reclaim.
None.
No, we're past all that. The only thing we'd have to reclaim now is the Locust Avenue parking lot and maybe a couple of the roads, the parking lots we have at the highway department transfer station. Other than that, the rest of it is we're in a very good stage where we took care of all those originally. So now we're in the point where we've got them all in a good phase and we'll just have to either mill and pave or
so what's the ETA on Locust?
ETA on Locust, when we have to finalize plans as to what's going to happen there, whether we're going to look at additional parcels, deck, or go forward with just a repaving or reconstruction of the lot.
Yeah, I think we approved the deck like twice over the years.
So we're still working towards different ideas on that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions. I suggest we vote together on all four of these and you can reflect in the minutes as individual votes, Tucker. I move we approve the request as Tiger described for the micro thin overlay, Cape Seal, crack seal, and the line striping as described by Tiger. Do I have a second for all? For the discussion? All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous on all four items. Thank you. Moving on, Bill's coming back for Waveney House HVAC project. I would emphasize this is a plan for when we may ultimately need to replace the HVAC system at, actually there's no HVAC, there is only a heating system currently at the Waveney House. We want to be in a position should the system fail. It is 105 years old, steam system, that we would replace it with a hot air actually, you called it forced air HVAC system at Waveney House. So Bill, why don't you explain it?
Yeah, so last year you approved us doing the first phase of this, which was just a data gathering, and they surveyed the building, spent a lot of time out there, engineers, 3 of them. And once they gathered all that information, they went back to their drawing boards and put together 2 options for us. One was strictly all electric, which we didn't find that appealing at all. And the second phase, the other option was to go more traditional. And they looked at the air conditioning, adding air conditioning and dehumidification to the building. Since we are doing a forced hot air system, you have the option of adding that right at the start, or can always be phased in later. They made some recommendations as far as utilizing the existing boiler also, which is great. And we went with Silver Pacelli Associates because they're all in-house engineers and they have architects too. So it wasn't all farmed out all over the place. So it's all in-house. So it was cost effective doing it that way. And the fact that it's all one firm, all internal. It's all one responsibility. So we'd like to, and we do have money for this. So we'd like to get your approval to contract them to finish phase 2. And we can draft up the whole plan and have it all set to go to bid when the time comes, whether it be sooner or later. We'll have the plan. We'll know what we're gonna do. And it gives us time to vet it out a little bit and maybe whatever changes we have or want up front. So that's pretty much where we're at.
So did we bid this out, Bill?
Professional services, we normally don't.
Right.
And these guys are, they're an excellent firm for doing exactly what we're asking them to do. They're well suited towards this. And they performed the first phase very well, and it only stands to reason to let them come forward after they've already kind of scoped out what they need to do to then go forward with the rest of the project, more the design development at that point.
So they're just on the design phase. They wouldn't likely be in the bidding phase the next round.
We would keep them on board right through the whole project because
As the project.
right, we only pay for each piece of the puzzle as it
Right.
goes forward. You know, we'll get the right up to the documents ready to go to bid. We stop them there. Then if planning we decide to go to bid, then they'll be back in on it. And they'll also do the administrative services for us too, to make sure that everything that's being installed, we'll get the submittals and what have you, and to make sure that it's being built and assembled the way they designed it.
We may not do this project for 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 years. Whenever the steam system fails, finally, we got to be prepared to put it out to bid quickly and get it done.
Don't jinx anybody.
Yeah, I know.
Don't jinx anyone.
What's that?
Don't jinx this. Don't jinx anything.
Any more questions?
Done here.
I move to approve the request from Public Works to enter into contract with Siller Petrosilli and Associates for a total of $95,760 for design, development, construction document preparation, and future bidding assistance and construction administration as described by Bill and Tiger for a replacement HVAC system at Waveney House. Second,
Here.
further discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Moving on to Dunning Lights.
Yeah, so John's gonna come up.
Morning, Mr. Howe.
So this is a joint project partnership with Park and Recreation, the Athletic Foundation, the high school, and DPW. With that, we received a quote from Musco. Musco Sports Lighting does all of our lighting. They're the preeminent contractor for this type of work, supplier and installer. We have all of our lights, all of our stadium lights are Musco lights, the existing ones at Dunning, the ones at the water tower, girls softball, Mead Park. We're looking at the tennis court, Mead Park tennis court lights there, possibly Pickle. So went to Musco and asked for we had been talking to Musco over the years as far as a quote for us for this type of work, and then went back to them for them to finalize their quote. They finalized their quote at $446,942 plus a light show technology of $46,845 for.
What is that, Tiger?
Light show allows us capability to sync songs and sync the lights to the songs. That's an ad by the NCAF, by the Athletic Foundation. So there's a subtotal of $493,787 with a contingency of $74,068 for a total of $567,855. In the Parks capital budget, there's $455,000 that's slated for fiscal 23, and we're looking for a contribution from the NCAF, or the NCAF has pledged $113,886 to make up the funding sources of $568,886. So we'd like to go forward with this project with Musco. We're right now, they've sent us their contract. The contract's being reviewed by our attorneys, and we're trying to stay on time and in their schedule so that we're looking at an August install. So it come, school season. And
so this is a complete redo of all the lights.
All the lights will be removed. The existing bases will be removed. New bases will come in and new lights will come in. It's a complete.
And these are better lights. I mean, what just
LED technology. So we'll see our costs go down.
Right.
Our annual costs that are being borne now by the Parks Department will go down.
Those are the original. What's there now? The original lighting from.
Not completely.
Not completely.
There's been some fixtures changed out and things like that, but
It's the existing bases, the existing stanchions, the existing arms, and then the
Right.
lighting itself is some of the bulbs, bulbs have been changed. Some of the lighting has been changed out. But now the stanchions and the bases do not meet the new current wind load codes. So we could not put new heads on the existing poles. We have to take them all the way down and remove them and then start from scratch.
Because of wind load.
Because of wind load, earthquake load, yeah, new building code requirements do not.
Remind me when Dunning was constructed,
25 years ago.
25.
So we've gotten a good play out of what's there.
Yep.
But now it's time for reinstallation.
especially we don't feel that they're reliable now. There'll be times that you'll turn them on and you'll have 4 fixtures or 4 lights out on each tower. And so going into another season where we might have to cancel a game if we don't have enough lights out there. So it's definitely time.
When we looked to defer, John said, well, don't yell at me in November when the lights don't turn on. So that was about the last statement that we wanted to hear, was Friday night lights, not have lights go on. So
Friday night, no lights.
Right. So so like I said, it has one step further for funding from the town council tomorrow night, as far as the last step for the bonding authorization. But we can at least this approval pending receipt of the funds and the town council approval tomorrow night, and then approval by our council on the contract. We'd like to have this move forward.
And John, what do you see as the next joint public-private partnership project?
At Dunning,
No, just in general with the
well,
NCAF.
right now they're talking about redoing the snack bar entranceway. That's the next thing I believe on their agenda.
Yeah, that we've had it surveyed twice now. So we went out where there once to look, and then they asked to expand the footprint a little bit, looked at that further, and now they've contracted with Richter and Segan, who did the original master plan for Waveney and then did the original water tower turf fields. So they're contracting with them for this.
And is that because of congestion? Just because of where it is, or is that going to be change the location of the snack bar? What?
It's a snack bar and press box. It's the entire kind of upper area.
The entire
yeah,
upper area.
And then what it'll do is they'll have dual entrances. So if you're having an event on the water tower turf fields, you can come across the parking lot and actually access the snack bar, so that the stadium would be open in essence.
And bathrooms.
And
So
bathrooms.
the bathrooms would be opened up for the other fields. So
Right. That's good.
So it's
Just one question. And so I understand they're the only ones we talked to in terms of replacing the lights. We've worked with them before, et cetera. How do we know, though, that the $494,000 project is right relative maybe to other projects done in other towns? Is that how did you sort of kind of
talking
test?
to peers, we're around the same price when you're looking to do all new stuff. The only thing that we're not replacing is the power feeding the lights, which would right now would add a substantial amount of money to that. So,
so when you say peers, what other high schools
towns and
other
what they've looked at, other park superintendents, other directors, that type of thing, what they're looking out there. But
and they said this price seems to be about
seems to be in line with everything. It's a substantial job to do. They have to come in and with a crane and remove those are concrete towers that are there right now. Remove them, and then they have to put in what's known as a spud, which is a concrete base, drilling that in, and then putting a metal tower and the lights on top of that. It's a big project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no further questions, I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Musco Sports Lighting LLC for a total of $567,855 as described by John and Tiger. Second. Further discussion?
None here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Tiger. Okay, contracts on the tablets. There's, I guess, just mainly the entertainment contracts for the summer concerts at Waveney. Any questions?
Seem to be a lot more concerts. Is that the plan?
John? concerts.
John, just on the contracts, a lot more contracts that I seem to recall from last year. We have more concerts planned or?
There's one more concert than last year.
Oh, just one more. Okay.
Yep. So there was some that were canceled last year due to rain. They didn't even make the rain date.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll get them all in.
Great. And if it does rain, do we still pay the contract?
No.
Okay.
Well, there is one that we do if they can't do the rain date.
Okay.
We pay them.
Okay.
Most of them, no.
Okay. Thank you.
That brings us to legal fees on the tablets. We are at $16,000 left for the month of June. Balance May. I would note that that ethic board filings relates to the employee matter that was handled by the town attorney.
So with 1 month left in the fiscal year, was that about the number that we were looking at last year? Or I think it seems like we'll come within budget when you can include the retainer. And then anything else perhaps?
Oh, pretty much on budget.
Yeah.
I move we approve the legal fees.
Second here.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That brings us to selectmen's comments. Before we go into executive session, so we'll do comments before we go into executive sessions on a real estate negotiation. I would note, first of all, with respect to COVID, people may have noticed that we are changing up our process for communicating the weekly COVID information. We are no longer going to use the Everbridge system, which is our emergency outcall system, but move to a combination of the website information on the front page of the website and e-notify, which is in the website. You can sign up to get notices to remind you that there's new information at the COVID-19 page, which you click on from the home sites. That will be communicated again Thursday. I may do a verbal outcall Thursday to make sure people are aware of that. Also, the Connecticut Department of Public Health last week said something that I think is important, because only Fairfield and New London counties are in the yellow medium category risk with COVID. All the other 6 counties are in the high range. That's mainly because Fairfield County is so highly vaccinated and boosted. There's a weekly chart that's put out. New Canaan remains the most highly vaccinated town, and in the bottom half of the case rate compared to all of our surrounding Westcog towns. I was surprised to see Fairfield up there, both in terms of case rate, but also so some towns are down in the 25% vaccination rates, amazingly, like Bridgeport. So, but the Department of Public Health head said, "I cannot stress enough the tools to combat this virus are in place and easily accessible. These include vaccines, first and second boosters, test to treat locations, therapeutics, self-tests, and state-supported testing." And for residents of Fairfield County, they recommend that residents who are at high risk of severe illness should talk to their healthcare providers about when they need to wear a mask or other precautions. And these residents should stay up to date on their COVID-19 vaccines and get tested if they have symptoms. So the library was not on our agenda. There's discussion going on with the Board of Finance as to perhaps putting a complete, finalizing the loan arrangement for the library at their next meeting. And then finally, I would note that I issued a statement this morning about the ethics board action last week, and I issued that to the press today. So those are my comments.
Do you think we can get a copy of the, I don't think I've seen the original copy of the letter of credit draft. So
Well, when that's finalized, we'll bring it to
we'll
us.
approve it, right?
Yeah.
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 Do you think we can see a draft before that?
Well, sure. I'm working on it with the board right now. So
Whatever you're working on, if you can share that, that'd be great. That's great. I have not, I'd be happy to hear your comments on the ethics board investigation if you want to share it now, or
no,
we have to read about it.
I issued my statement.
Okay, great. I'll just say a comment. You brought it up 2 weeks ago, and I'll just say a quick word. I want to appreciate the work that has been done by the ethics board. I know it took a lot, involved a lot of people. I think that the outcome is all about process, and it's important that the ethics board's recommendation about what was perhaps unclear as to what is permissible as a public official is going to be clear going forward. And I think that always helps in any development of a new process, that you can't anticipate what might happen, but when things do happen, if there's an adjustment that needs to be made, it's been made in terms of their recommendations. And I think that's a good, healthy thing. I think it really helps clarify what's permissible going forward. And I think that's important. So somebody asked me, do I think it was politically motivated? And I don't. I know that it involved politics, that it involved obviously folks, public officials like each of us, always subject to the ethics code since the 1960s in terms of what public officials are permitted to do. And so I think that's, I think it's more ethically motivated, if you will, rather than politically motivated, as there was no opportunity to gain any political goodwill. It's really about, it's all about ethics. And that's what the ethics board was first established, with you and I working together on that, and bringing it forward to all of the town bodies, and the modifications that will be or have been recommended for the ethics code, I think are appropriate. So appreciate the work done by everybody on that.
Well, Kathleen, I would comment, as I said in my statement, I couldn't disagree more. I mean, this matter did not belong before the ethics code. It did not come under the ethics code. It was politically motivated. Your participation in it was disgraceful in my view. So we sharply disagree.
Well, I just think that I want to make sure that the public feels comfortable that that's what the ethics board is there for. If there's any question,
Not to expand the ethics code. They don't have the power to expand the ethics code.
they can amend it.
No, they cannot. They cannot.
Well, I think-
Only the town council can amend the ethics code.
well,
And you
that's what
can't
the
go beyond your scope. So anyway,
So they have always made recommendations in terms of changes to the ethics code, which obviously have to be approved by the town council, and that's their latest recommendation. And
they didn't make that recommendation. They issued an edict, which is not within their power. So anyway, comments, Nick?
So getting back to the library, I've been on the board a long time, and I know how to count votes. It's easy because there's only 3 of us. I know, the library has basically requested additional funding, not through a loan, but through a grant. And I just go on the record as saying that, I could be supportive of additional funding through a grant. I understand that I don't think you two are in agreement with that, and I respect that. But I've been a fervent supporter of the library, and want to make sure that, going forward, we will stand behind them, either through a letter of credit, line of credit, or through, direct funding. So.
is it expected? Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Is it expected that they will be coming forward to
Well,
the?
I think they essentially did at our last meeting. That I think I asked Lisa, what's your ask?
Yeah.
And I think she said, $1.5 million. I'm not sure that I'm not sure they need $1.5 million today. I think it's a much lesser amount. And again, if we finalize the line of credit as soon as possible, that might, be a surrogate bridge. My understanding, and I think the good news is that they are not expecting to have to take down the full amount of the line of credit. So maybe we don't need to provide direct funding. I'm just saying, I support the library. We want to make sure this thing gets done and gets done right. That's all.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that the library did come for an update to us 2 weeks ago. I was actually hopeful that they would come with a specific proposal. I will note that they gave us a conceptual budget, and I appreciate that. Wasn't clear what the ask was based on that. So I see it's about $2,491,000 in terms of project costs, and then an additional $250,000 to $650,000 for possible interior finishes. So I hope they do come forward with whether it's in person or with a specific request. I think that'll be helpful. Don't make any judgments until I hear what the request is. But I would say that the line of credit, that's why I'm interested in taking a look at that before it comes final. That seems to be, there is a drawer of money, if you will, has been available. And I think there's an opportunity there to cover those costs, especially the near-term costs that you say that it's important for them to get started with.
And look, to be clear, I've been a big supporter of the library. The original ask for the town's contribution was $5 million. It was doubled to $10 million. We purchased the property on the southwest corner. I think $500,000 was that's 10.5, and then really $2 million is, I think, the value of the parking lot, the municipal parking lot that we've provided, and the spaces there, because the underground parking would have been at least maybe $2.5 million. So the town has stepped up in the past, and I'm just on record as saying, we want to get this thing done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it gave us a great update, and the fact that it seems to be moving even more quickly than the original plan. That's impressive.
They're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the timing is important. And I do think that the fact that there's already I won't call it a pre-approved, but an existing draft of a line of credit that should be evaluated for the economic benefits of this project.
With that, I move we go into an executive session to discuss the real estate transactions.
Second here.
All in favor? Thank you all. And we'll invite in Tiger and Bill. Barrett, no. No. Tucker and Ann. Oh yeah, and our town attorney, Doug Lamonte.
I just gotta give me 2 seconds here to do my thing.
Do you expect to have a vote later, or is this pretty much it?
No, leave it. And thank you, Ann. Okay, we're out of executive session at 9:58, and I move we adjourn the Board of Selectmen meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Becky, you have this here, this.
Yeah.